Hello and welcome to a look at 5th year for the Commodore 64, a game that was released by Hewson through their Racket label. There's no plot to get my teeth into, unfortunately, but there's an objective. You have entered a highly illegal base, and your objective is to win the race using whatever means are available to you. That's basically it. As you can see here, we are in the weapon shop. You can buy various different things. Obviously you need a missile launcher in order to launch missiles, and then you can buy rapid fire equipment, it's called. It is an auto fire, and it doesn't actually fire faster than you can fire the machine gun by yourself, so it is a complete and utter waste of money. The race you have to complete is basically a horseshoe kind of track, because if you paid attention you would notice that there's a start and finish marker down where we started, meaning of course that you have to drive to the top of the game field where you will get a message to turn around and then double back, and once you have completed a full horseshoe circuit thing, you have beaten the first of 3 races. You start off with a machine gun, which is perfectly okay for blowing up enemy vehicles and trains. Yeah, don't ask. But you can and you should buy the missile launcher and some missiles, because you need them in order to punch through walls and gun emplacements and other solid objects. And while it is likely impossible to avoid using missiles at all, you will find that it makes your life infinitely easier to obtain them. Other things you have available to you will come from the extras shop, which is things like a watertight chassis, which means you can drive through water, always useful. A turbo boost, which is Knight Rider kit car jump thing. Helium tires, which means that you jump further, and that is not necessarily only a good thing. And then you can get sideways propulsion things, so you can actually control your car while jumping. Other shops available, refuel points, and what's it called? A car shop where you can repair your car, or if you have the spare cash to do it, buy an extra life. Repairing the car can be prohibitively expensive though, so yeah. From a gameplay point of view, I think it's much safer, better, cheaper. Just lose your life and be done with it. This track will contain various different obstacles, as you can probably see, in the form of trees, walls, water areas which has to be jumped or crossed by using the bridges, enemy vehicles, passing trains, gun emplacements, and such nuisances. There are also helicopters that will pop around from time to time. I can't remember whether it's the case, because I didn't try it in the recording of this video, but something tells me that you can hit the helicopters if you're in the middle of a jump, but don't quote me on that, I could be completely and utterly mistaken. But you cannot take out the helicopters from ground level, so you'll just have to accept that they whiz around and pester you with whatever they are shooting at you. Interface. Bottom left you can see the glowing markers. There's 2 of them glowing at the moment. One of them is your lives, and the other one is whatever thing you have as active fire button mechanism thing, and you use spacebar to switch between them. So if you have both the turbo boost and the missiles, you can switch between the 3 by using the spacebar. Underneath that you have your fuel, and 1 tank of fuel is not enough to complete a race. Something to be mindful of. Further to the right you have the damage meter, and you can possibly imagine that if that is full, empty, whatever is the case, then you lose a life. Bottom left you have your timer, and that is the amount of time you have available for the full race. You will not get any more time given at any point during the race, and that means, of course, that you have to get to the top of the game field and back again within that time frame. So right that, you have just go on your money. You start with $10,000 and then you can spend them in whatever way you see fit. Sort of, but I will mention that in the gameplay bit. Let's do technical stuff now. Graphic-wise, I think this game is perfectly serviceable. Maybe not outright spectacular, but definitely not bad looking at all. The trees and that kind of stuff are a bit basic. The enemy vehicles are, well, they are, what can I say? But I think the graphics works perfectly fine. The player's vehicle reminds me a lot of the Spy Hunter car, just a larger version and perhaps a bit more detailed, but graphics-wise, yeah, I quite like this game, I'd say. The sound effects are a bit hit and miss, nothing special. They serve their purpose, but there's nothing necessarily particularly special about them. The music and the jingles and that kind of stuff needs a special mention because it is of surprisingly good quality, and I have always found it very, very enjoyable, even though I find that some of the jingles are perhaps a bit loud. The controls are what you hope they would be. Right to steer right, left to steer left, up to accelerate, down to brake, fire to use whatever item you have active for your fire button. Gameplay. You need to race through the track, as you have probably gathered by me mentioning it about 11 times now. And for the purpose of research, I did a test, and it takes you 45 seconds if you just drive from start to finish without worrying about anything. And yeah, from start to finish it takes 45 seconds, which means, of course, you have to spend 45 seconds as a bare minimum coming back. So you suddenly have to consider 1 minute 30 being taken from that 5-minute timer. But of course, you can't just drive through the races in order to complete them without using unsavory measures. So you have to actually fight enemy vehicles, avoid trains, punch your way through walls, that kind of stuff. And suddenly that timer becomes very, very tight. It becomes actually excruciatingly tight. And that is where my issue with this game is, because the gameplay is enjoyable, the game plays well, it looks good, it sounds good. But the fact that in order to complete the races, you basically have to learn every micro-millimeter of every single track in order to be able to navigate them at a higher speed. And I think the game is asking too much in that regard compared to what it delivers. It's good, but personally I don't find it to be that good. Before we finish, I discovered that there's an Amiga version of this game, and enjoys this little bit here. Always have a very low expectation when I see a conversion of a Commodore 64 game made for the Amiga, and my expectations of this game was justified. Graphic-wise, it looks a bit more detailed, but by and large it is a lesson in the color brown. I know there are other colors besides brown, but brown is definitely the predominant color, and it doesn't look particularly exciting. Sound effects are not impressive by any means, and I actually think they are too bare-boned. Music. I know Jochen Hippel may not be in the same league as Darren Tower or Chris Hewson, but the music and jingles for this specific game is absolute garbage. I'm sorry to say it, but that is how I feel about it. I think the conversation sounds horrible. And that makes me think of a certain computer that was released around the same time as the Amiga. I think it's called what's it called? I can't remember. I'm sorry. I've luckily managed to forget completely the existence of that wannabe 16-bit computer. I can't verify. I haven't checked. I could check it, but the music sounds very, very ST-esque. Oops, I remembered. What a shame. The gameplay is about the same as it is in the Commodore 64, but of course someone had to be creative and make sure that the levels were designed in the most obnoxious possible way. Meaning that all the shops that you get into, they are boxed in by mountain ranges, which of course you can't punch through with your missiles. So basically every single time you get to a dead end, you have to double back. And you find that happens an awful lot. I think actually I had more fun having a root canal done than playing the Amiga version on 5th gear. Suffice to say, even I am not particularly impressed by this version, and I think it is utter and total garbage. On that note, thanks for watching, take care, see you next time, bye bye for now.